باری شهیدم قاتل شنید و من هم شنیدم قاتل شنید و من هم شنیدم یا حسین سار الله یا حسین سار الله یا حسین سار الله یا حسین سار الله خدا یا رب الحسين اشف صدر الحسين بزور
اللهم صل على محمد وعلى محمد أجوركم الله صدق بري أجوركم الله. A few lines in honor of Sayyid al-Shuhada before I request my other colleagues and my friends, brothers waiting in line. دیکھو در حسین پہ رضوان سے مل لو، مت بھولو کہ جنت کا بھی دربان وہی ہے، زینب کو بھی لڑنا ہے 72 کی طرح سے، ہتھیار بدل جائیں گے میدان وہی ہے، نیزے پہ بھی سر جس کا سناتا رہے قرآن، اے اہل جہاں بولتا قرآن وہی ہے. پر محمد و آل محمد صلوات اللہ صلی علی محمد و آل محمد. I request Brother Sayyid Shuja'at, followed by Brother Sayyid Ishan and Brother Irtaza to extend their condolences on this very sorrowful day. For Muhammad wa Muhammad salawat. Allah salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad.
محمد وعجل فرجهم. گھبرائے گی ذہن گھبرائے گی ذہن تمہیں گھر جا کے کہاں پائے گی ذہنا گھبرائے گی ذہنا کیسا یہ بھرا گھر ہوا برباد الہی کیا تباہی اب اس کو نہ کبھی پائے گی زینب گھبرائے گی زینب پھٹ جائے گا بس دیکھتے ہی گھر کو کلیجہ یاد آؤگے بھیا دل ڈھونڈے گا تم کو تو کہاں پائے گی زینب گھبرائے گی زینب پوچھیں گے جو سب لوگ کے بازو کو ہوا کیا یہ نیل ہے کیسا کس کس کو دکھلائے گی زینب گھبرائے گی زینب جا کے کسے دیکھے گی قاسم ہے نا عباس اکبر سے بھی ہے یاس اپنے علی اصغر کو کہاں پائے گی زینب گھبرائے گی زینب سلام
محمد وآل محمد. We are waiting for Brother Sayyid Zishan.
پر محمد وآل محمد صلوات.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد عجل فرجه.
اے عباس کی بہنوں نے نہ پائی چادر، ہائے عباس کی بہنوں نے نہ پائی چادر، شام تک نیزے پہ دیتی تھی دہائی چادر، ہائے عباس کی بہنوں نے نہ پائی چادر، جس کے بابا نے اڑائی تھی ردا کعبے کو، جس کے بابا نے اڑائی تھی ردا کعبے کو، اس کی بیٹی کو کسی نے نہ اڑائی چادر، ہائے عباس کی بہنوں نے نہ پائی چادر، بس یہی کہتی تھی عباس کے سر سے زینب، بس یہی کہتی تھی عباس کے سر سے زینب، میرے بھائی میرے بھائی میرے بھائی چادر، ہائے عباس کی بہنوں نے نہ پائی چادر، پاؤں خط دیتے رہے دور تلک بچی کے، پاؤں خط دیتے رہے دور تلک بچی کے، شمر نے ایسے سکینہ سے چھڑائی چادر، گر پڑی خاک پہ عباس کی ماں صدمے سے، گر پڑی خاک پہ عباس کی ماں صدمے سے، اپنے بازو سے جو زینب نے ہٹائی چادر، ہائے عباس کی بہنوں نے نہ پائی چادر، شرم سے چھپ گئی سجاد کے پیچھے زینب، شرم سے چھپ گئی سجاد کے پیچھے زینب، ہند زنداں میں جوڑے ہوئے آئی چادر، ہائے عباس کی بہنوں نے نہ پائی چادر، صلوات علی محمد و آل محمد۔
صلی علی محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم۔
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم۔ قافلہ لٹ گیا سالار، بنی ہے زینب قافلہ لٹ گیا سالار بنی ہے زینب ہائے یتیموں کی علمدار بنی ہے زینب قافلہ لٹ گیا رے چکیاں پیس کے پالا تھا علی کے گھر نے کتنے نازوں سے مدینے میں پلی ہے زینب قافلہ لٹ گیا تیری غربت تیری سالار بنی ہے زینب بعد عباس کے کیا تجھ پہ بنی ہے زینب قافلہ لٹ گیا قید جب ہونے لگی ہائے علی کی بیٹی سر عباس کو اب کیسے سنبھالے زینب قافلہ لٹ گیا دل میں ساجد کے رہا آنو محمد کملا دل کی دھڑکن تیری دھڑکن سے جڑی ہے زینب قافلہ لٹ گیا سالار بنی ہے زینب ہے یتیموں کی علمدار بنی ہے زینب قافلہ لٹ گیا اللہم صلی علی محمد
Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wa ajal farajahum. If one of the famous ulama, he said, if you want to judge a community's involvement and their investment in future, just see how many youngsters they are involved in the majalis of education of Azhar. Alhamdulillah, at Abrar Islamic Center, these are the young who have given shoulder to all these majalis and the Azadari and all the programs that we have conducted, being education or any otherwise. and all the reciters, mashallah, from all ages reciting. And alhamdulillah, we have got a guest reciter from Karachi, Ali Safdar from Pakistan, and we are very thankful for your time. Ujurukumullah. Please take the floor and extend your condolences to the Imam al-Shaheed.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إن لله وإنا إليه راجعون بسم الله الرحمن الرحیم. آئے خداوند عالم کی بارگاہ میں خصوصاً وقت کے امام کے حضور اپنے اس پرسے کو پیش کرتے ہیں. حسین الغریب الغریب الحسین حسین الشہید الشہید الحسین حسین الغریب الغریب الحسین حسین الشہید الشہید الحسین. دہائی دہائی خدا را دہائی یہ دشت بلا میں گئے کیسی تباہی بہایا گئے کس نے یہ خون محمد قیامت یہ ٹھائی ہے کس نے الہی جوانوں بزرگوں کو مارا گیا ہے شہیدوں میں شامل ہے ننھا سپاہی حسین الغریب الغریب الحسین حسین الشہید الشہید الحسین. اور کیا جشن برپا گیل حبس نے شہیدوں کے لاشوں پہ ڈنکے بجائے ارے جلا ڈالے آلے محمد کے خیمے سکینہ کے منہ پر تماچے لگائے جو بیمار تھا اس کا بستر نہ چھوڑا نبی زادیوں پر بھی درے چلائے حسین الغریب الغریب الحسین حسین الشہید الشہید الحسین. اور اٹھی اپنے مرکز سے بنت محمد سیاہ شب کی چادر میں چہرہ چھپا کر ارے گئی کربلا میں تو اس نے یہ دیکھا ہے بوسیدہ کرتے میں ایک لاش بے سر بدن سارا تیروں سے چھلنی پڑا گئے لہو میں ہے ڈوبا ہوا سارا پیکر حسین الغریب الغریب الحسین حسین شہید شہید الحسین. کبھی دل میں دیتی وہ ماں کو صدائیں کبھی رو کے کہتی کہ بابا کہاں ہو شہید امیدوں کا نوحہ تھا اس کی زباں پر، ابد کس طرح اس کے غم کا بیاں ہو، ہمیں بھی سعادت ہے نصرت کی حاصل، خدا را ظہور امام زمان ہو، حسین الغریب الغریب الحسین، حسین الشہید الشہید الحسین۔ اور یہ آخری پرسہ وقت کے امام کے حضور پیش کر رہا ہوں کہ جو پردہ غیب میں خون کے آنسو بہاتا ہی نہیں معلوم کہ اس وقت مولا امام حسین کربلا میں ہوں گے، سیدہ فاطمہ الزہرا کے روزے میں قبر مطہر پہ ہوں گے۔ اے امام زمان، آپ کا منتظر ہے یہ جہاں، ارے بس ایک بار، بس ایک بار، اے وقت کے حسین اب آ جاؤ ایک بار، ہو جائے ختم فاطمہ زہرا کا انتظار، بس ایک بار، بس ایک بار، غیبت کا پردہ ان کے اٹھانے کے بعد بھی، غیبت کا پردہ ان کے اٹھانے کے بعد بھی، علم و عمل سے خود کو سجانے کے بعد بھی، مولا کا ساتھ دینا گئے آنے کے بعد بھی، جانا نہیں چراغ بجھانے کے بعد بھی، ناصر ہے کون کون یہ ہونا ہے پھر شمار، ہو جائے ختم فاطمہ زہرا کا انتظار، بس ایک بار، بس ایک بار، بس ایک بار، بس ایک بار، ہے مقصد حیات یہی خاص و عام کا، اٹکا ہوا ہے سینے میں دم اس غلام کا، پورا ہو خواب نصرت شاہ انام کا، بس ایک بار دیکھ لوں چہرہ امام کا، صدیوں سے ہے امام زمانہ کا انتظار، ہو جائے ختم فاطمہ زہرا کا انتظار، بس ایک بار، بس ایک بار، جلوہ کریں جہاں میں امام فلک وقار، چمکے افق پتور کے پھر نور کردگار، ہو جائے پورا 313 کا بشمار، صدیوں کے بعد ختم ہو مولا کا انتظار، آئے نکل کے پردہ غیبت سے ذوالفقار، ہو جائے ختم فاطمہ زہرا کا انتظار، بس ایک بار، بس ایک بار، بابا اب اپنے زخم کو دھوتی نہیں ہوں میں، نوکے میں جاؤں پہ اشک پروتی نہیں ہوں میں، دروں سے خوف آتا ہے روتی نہیں ہوں میں، راتوں کو نیند آتی ہے سوتی نہیں ہوں میں، زندان سے سکینہ کو لے جاؤ ایک بار، ہو جائے ختم فاطمہ زہرا کا انتظار، بس ایک بار، بس ایک بار، کہتے تھے شاہ آج بہت دل اداس ہے، کوثر ہے میرے پاس فرات ان کے پاس ہے، پانی پلا دو بچے کو بچے کی آس گئے، ماہ کے صغیر کو صدیوں کی پیاس گئے، پانی نہیں میں مانگوں گا اب تم سے بار بار، ہو جائے ختم فاطمہ زہرا کا انتظار، بس ایک بار بس ایک بار دین پر عمل تمیز حلال و حرام ہو، جذبہ جہاد حق کا زمانے میں عام ہو، ایثار کا گے شوق تو پھر ایسا کام ہو، بس ایک بار لشکر مہدی میں نام ہو، پھر اس کے بعد مشکلیں آئے قمر ہزار، ہو جائے ختم فاطمہ زہرا کا انتظار، بس ایک بار بس ایک بار اے وقت کے حسین اب آ جاؤ ایک بار، ہو جائے ختم فاطمہ زہرا کا انتظار، برائے تاجیل ظہور امام زمان بلندر صلوات، اللہم
صل على
صل علی
محمد وعلى محمد وجوركم Allah to all the reciters, the asatid who have contributed to the majalis, and may Allah give you the tawfiq and the ajr, and based upon your own efforts that's been extended. May Allah
Thank you.
kabul al-Hasan, everyone.
Ilahi.
Jazakumullah
Thank you
khair.
much.
And in salawat for all the well-beings of all the reciters here. Allahumma
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
Muhammad. A few lines before I request Sheikh Shirazi to educate us on the topic. شبیر مار دیتے جو ٹھوکر زمین پر، ہو جاتا جاری چشمہ کوثر زمین پر،
سبحان اللہ.
دکھاتے اپنی جو شبر زمین پر، رکھتے
واہ.
تھے آسماں کو الٹ کر زمین پر، ہو کیوں نہ امن و ضبط کا منظر زمین پر، آیا ہوا ہے خلد سے آیا ہوا ہے خلد کا افسر زمین پر،
زمین پر. واہ واہ.
کرتے اگر نہ شبر و شبیر صلح و جنگ، ڈھونڈے نہ ملتا دین پیمبر زمین پر، پر محمد و آل محمد صلوات اللہ صلی علی محمد و آل محمد. I request Sheikh Shirazi to please educate us on the life of Sayyid al-Shuhada and today's sorrowful day. اللهم صل على
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون
اللهم صل
أحسن الله لكم الأجر, and may Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala accept this azah from every one of us biqabul and hasan, and not make this Muharram and this observance the last observance of this sacred month of Muharram. In a hadith, Imam as-Sadiq alayhi salam such states, Rahimallahu shi'atana. Shi'atuna hum wallah al-mu'minun. Faqad wallah sharakuna fil musibati bitul al-hazn wal-hasra. Says our Shias, may Allah have mercy upon them. Our Shias, they are the mu'minun, the believers, the faithful. Indeed, they participated with us, they were with us throughout in all these sorrows and griefs, in all these huzn and hasra. Another quote from Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam, he says that يقول إن موسى بن عمران سأل ربه قال يا رب إن أخي هارون مات. Prophet Musa, when he whispers to Allah and talks to him, says, my brother Harun has passed away. فاغفر له, forgive him Allah. Allah says, فَأَوْحَى إِلَيْهِ يَا مُوسَى بْنِ عِمْرَانَ لَوْ سَأَلْتَنِي فِي الْأَوَّلِينَ وَالْآخِرِينَ. Not only your brother, had you asked me to forgive all those from among the foremost and the lastmost, I would have forgiven every one of them. مَا خَلَى قَاتِلُ الْحُسَيْنِ ibn Ali ibn Abi Talib. Exception is the killer of Hussein. He I will never forgive. It is the night of pain and sorrow, and it is the aftermath of Karbala, Ashura, and a household that was all alive. Prior to this, they have all passed away. Sayyid al-Shuhada with 70 of his companions, so many of the children of Abu Abdullah and Hussein, they passed away. After this ambush, burning down of tents, atrocities, afflictions that were seen, and a day of horror it was. A day, in less than a day, everything came to an end. Regarding the day of judgment, Quran says, يَوْمَ يَجْعَلُ الْوِلْدَانَ الشِّيبَ, a day which makes everyone old, which will make a person grow old. Even the young children, you would see that due to the horror of that day, they have hunched, their hair has whitened. Says Karbala was similar, no less than that, but worse than that. Everything shattered and broke on this day of horror. Towards the night of the 10th of the month of Muharram, Zainab Kubra, who is the charge d'affaires of this caravan, and until this morning it was Abu Abdullah al-Hussein who had the custodianship and the custody of everyone. But now it is with Zainab Kubra. She is the messenger of Karbala. It has been handed over to him by Sayyid al-Shuhada. Now this Zainab Kubra, like her brother, the brother on the 9th of Muharram, he was clearing all the tents, behind the tents, to see if there are any bushes and thorns. He was clearing them with his sword. Why was he doing that? So that the next day, when it is going to be the day of Ashura, and when those Mala'in would be attacking the children and the women, and there will be an ambush, the children will be running around to save themselves, just to protect them from those thorns and bushes. Imam had cleared those bushes from behind the tents. Now that Zainab Kubra, she is performing this task. And a day like today, when she is just looking around to see if everyone is safe, finds two children of Abu Abdullah dead behind the tents. And then she sees that one of the children are missing, and that is the dearest of Abu Abdullah al-Hussein, and that is Ruqayya. Comes in search of her. Where is she? She couldn't find. At a distance, she sees that this Ruqayya, she is at the battlefield, and by some bodies she is there. She comes to her, says, how did you find your body, your dad's body here? She says that there is no head on the body, and also they have pounded and crushed those bodies such that it is impossible for you to find whose body is which. She says that I was calling my dad, my father, and I heard him say, I am here, Ruqayya. I followed him where he called me from. I came there, and also I recognized the fragrance of my father. Now that she was sitting there with Ruqayya by the body of Sayyid al-Shuhada, sees that from a distance there is someone coming towards them, towards the battlefield. Zainab, she is restless now. She goes forward and says to the rider, come no more, do not come forward anymore, just stay where you are. Our children, they are exhausted. They can bear no more pain, and they haven't got that capacity to see anything more. Now this rider stopped and says that, Zainab, you did not recognize who I am? Says, who are you? He uncovers his face, Says that is her father, Ali ibn Abi Talib. She says, Father, is this the time to come? Then when we were in need, where were you? Father, when Hussein was being beheaded, where were you? Father, when the camps and tents were set ablaze, where were you? Father, when those Malaim, they came and they dragged the El Abid, Hussein's son, out of the tents, where were you? When the tents were burnt down on him, where were you? When all these orphans of Abu Abdullah and other children here, when their earrings were being snatched, where were you, Father? Is this the time to come? Now, when we look into the riwayat and the amal of Rasulullah, his seerah, we see that Rasulullah, he kissed two parts of Abu Abdullah's body, one his lips and one his neck. Also, the forehead is seen there. He used to kiss the forehead. And as a result of which, wherever Abu Abdullah sat in a majlis, it used to enlighten that majlis due to the shining and the noor of his forehead, which was a result of the kiss of Rasulullah. He used to kiss his lips, he used to kiss his neck. Now these three places, the neck and the lips and the forehead, are those three places which were the landing place of all these stones and arrows and swords and daggers. Assalamu alayk ya Aba Abdullah. We used to say, Uqabbilu mawda as-suyub. Hussein, I kiss the places where those swords used to land. When we see it, the ziyarat, we see that to Rasulullah, when you send a salam, you say Assalamu alayka ya Rasulullah, Assalamu alayka ya Khatam al-Nabiyyin. Or for example, sometimes you say Assalamu alayk ya Sayyid al-Mursaleen, or Assalamu alayk ya Sayyid al-Wasiyyin, ziyarat like that. But for Sayyid al-Shuhada, we have the most number of ziyarat, and also how these ziyarat are recited, they are different. There when we say salam to Abu Abdullah, Abu Abdullah, then we have a salam exclusive for his head. We have a salam exclusive for the body. We have a salam exclusive for that fractured chest of Abu Abdullah. We have a salam exclusive for that beard drenched in blood. We have a salam upon the uncovered body of Abu Abdullah. We have a salam on his head, on the spear separately. So there is this head of Abu Abdullah, which was raised high on that javelin, which was taken from Karbala all the way to Sham. There we have a salam exclusive to the head of Abu Abdullah that was raised high. We have a salam that is sent, that is upon the pure blood of Abu Abdullah. Upon the place where that blood fell, we have a salam. On that pigeon that came and rubbed its wings onto the pure blood of Abu Abdullah, we have a salam. We have a salam, that blood which the angels they took with them to the heavens, we have a salam for that. That blood that gushed out on his sister's face, there is a salam for that. That blood which his white beard was soaked and dyed, we have a salam for that. So in all of these salams that we have, there is no one like Abu Abdullah al-Hussein. Only and only exclusively for Abu Abdullah al-Hussein. Even today, that same adab is observed. We recited the Maqtal today, and throughout that Maqtal on 7 occasions, Imam said, Hal min nasirin yansuruni. Is there anyone to help me? And responding to that, when we go to Karbala, it is mustahab that you say, Labbaik ya da'i Allah. That is, I've come here to you. Labbaik, O caller to Allah, tabaraka wa ta'ala. Assalamu ala al-mughassali bidam al-jarah. Assalamu ala al-mujarra'i bika'asat al-sama'. Rumah. Assalamu ala al-mudham al-mustabah. Assalamu ala al-manhuri fil wara. We don't have these terms for anyone. Manhur is the way how a camel is made halal and slaughtered. That is, you you strike a knife in the neck of that camel. Says for Abu Abdullah that nahr was done. That is al-manhur fil wara, in the open he was slaughtered. Assalamu ala man dafanahu ahlul qura. Salam be upon him who was laid to rest and buried by the people of the village. Assalamu ala al-maqtu al-watin. Assalamu ala al-muhami bila mu'in. Salam be upon this supporter who helped everyone, but no one was there to help him. Assalamu ala al-shayb al-khabib. Salam be upon this old whose beard was drenched in blood and died. Assalamu ala al-khadd al-tarib. Assalamu ala al-badan al-masloob. Salam be upon this body that was crucified. Assalamu ala al-thaghr al-maqru' bil-qadib. And those teeth of Abu Abdullah that was so respected by the Holy Prophet, that Mal'un Yazid, he hits them with that stick. And Assalamu ala al-thaghr al-maqru' bil-qadib. Assalamu ala al-ra's al-marfu'. Salam be upon that head that was raised high. Now, on a day like today, we recited this maqtal, and we see that there are various wida that Abu Abdullah al-Hussein has. The first wida is that 7 times he says, Hal min nasirin yansuruni. That is one. And then 14 times he has a farewell with all these different shuhada of Karbala. First, ثم ذهب الحسين إلى خيام الطاهرات من آل رسول الله ونادى. He comes to the camp there where the women are there and says, Sakina, Fatima, Zainab, Kulthum, alaykunna minna salam. Salam be upon you all. And this is our last congregation. وَقَدْ قَرُبَ مِنْ كُنَّ الْإِفْتِجَاء. So one here, Imam comes and he says farewell to them. Imam was delayed and then Umar Saad, he says that, did you come or shall I come and tear you apart? So Imam, when he went into the camps of the women, he was delayed a little bit. So this Umar Saad comes and yells at the Imam, do you come out now or shall I come and tear you apart? Imam comes out with the amama of his grandfather, of amama of the Rasulullah, and on a camel, that I have no intention to fight. ثم توجه نحو القوم. Imam looks at the nation. وقال على ما تقاتلونني. Why do you want to fight me? على حق تركته. Is there a right that I haven't abided by? أم على شريعة بدلتها. Is there a sharia that I have changed? أم على سنة غيرتها. A sunnah that I have distorted. فقالوا نقاتلك بغضا منا لأبيك. Says, we fight you due to the hate we have to your father Ali. وما فعل بأشياخنا يوم بدر وحنين. And what he did in the battles of Badr and Hunain. So here, that was that first wida Imam had with the family, with the women and children. The second wida Imam had is with his daughter Sukaina, where he comes and says, well, Sakina said that, قالت يا أبا استسلمت للموت. You have submitted to death. إلى من أتكل. Who do we rely on? And there Imam says, قال يا نور عيني كيف لا يستسلم للموت من لا ناصر له ولا معين. Someone who has no helper, how can he not submit to death? That was the second farewell Imam had with Sukaina. The third farewell that Imam has is with his daughter Ruqayya. Says, did not let go his Abba. Look at me, I am thirsty, she says. Fourth wida is with Ali Asghar, that when he raised the infant and then kisses him, that is that fourth wida. The fifth wida is again with Ali Asghar, that when he takes the baby, kisses it, and it's alive. And when he returns with the baby which has been killed, and now when he wants to bury the baby, he kisses the baby once again and then puts him to rest. That is another farewell and wida that Abu Abdullah al-Hussein had. Now the sixth wida Imam has is with Zainab al-Kubra, and there it says that look after these women and children after me. And here one more sentence, when he left, and here she stopped. When Imam came and said farewell to the women and children, she calls and she says, stop, brother. Mahlan ya akhi. This mahlan, mahla, that is this when Zainab Kubra, she stopped, and there she kisses the neck of Abu Abdullah, because that was the wasiyah of Hazrat Fatima salamullahi alayha. And then here Imam says, Zainab, remember me in your night prayers. The seventh wida Imam has is in Darul Ham, that is where the bodies of the Shuhada were kept, excluding Hazrat Abbas and Ali Asghar and Abdullah bin Hassan. With the exception of these three Shuhada, all the other Shuhada were placed in one of those camps. And here Imam comes and then says, I am joining you soon. I've come to say farewell to you all. Here, that was the wida with the bodies of the Shuhada. Now, Imam comes to the other camp where all the maids were there, including Fidda, the maid of Hazrat Fatima, comes and says farewell to every one of them. The ninth wida Imam has is with the Zuljanah, is this loyal horse of Abu Abdullah who worked all day with Abu Abdullah, and then all this day he has been serving the whole Abu Abdullah with thirst. And the Imam says to him that I was with you by all the bodies. Forgive me now, O loyal horse, I am departing. The 10th wida Imam has is with the Shuhada, not the Shuhada of Bani Hashim. That is, Imam comes and says farewell to them. So Shuhada, Bani Hashim were separately kept, and the Shuhada of the others, non-Bani Hashim, were placed separately. He comes and says farewell to them as well. The 11th wida Imam has comes and says, Lamma ra'as-sibt ashab al-wafa qad qutilu nada abal fadl ayn al-faris al-batalu. Wida with Abul Fazl al-Abbas وأين من دوني الأرواح قد بذلوا بالأمس كانوا معي واليوم قد رحلوا. You were with me until yesterday, but today none of you is with me. The 12th wida Imam has is with the Furat, the river Furat. And Imam comes to the river Furat and says, يُذْبَحُ حَوْلِكَ كِبَارُنَا. O river Furat, by you all our elders and grown-ups be killed. وَيَمُوتُ صِغَارُنَا. And all our youngsters, our children be killed. And then the olders be slaughtered, the young be killed. Achana, thirsty, فَكَأَنَّكَ حُرِّمْتَ عَلَيْنَا. It seems as if you have been made haram upon us. And at this sentence, the wailing of the women was heard. 13th wida Imam has is with the angels. That is, Allah sends the angels and allows them to help Abu Abdullah and Hussein. You allow, we will destroy them all, they said, the angels. But here Abu Abdullah and Hussein says that فَنَزَلَتِ الْمَلَائِكَةُ مِنَ السَّمَاءِ لِنُصْرَتِهِ فَلَمْ يَأْذَنْ لَهُمْ بِشَيْءٍ. He did not allow the angels to help, and that was another wida that Imam had with the angels, and says that I have an allegiance with Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala that I need to fulfill. The 14th wida Imam has is with the jinn, Za'far jinn, with 4,000 other jinn. They also joined, they wanted to help Abu Abdullah and Hussein. To them as well, permission wasn't granted, and Abu Abdullah and Hussein said farewell to them. The 15th wida Imam has is with Abdullah bin Hassan, that is the 10-year-old son of Imam Mujtaba alayhi salam, who was killed and is the last shaheed before Abu Abdullah and Hussein, who fell on his lap, and Harmala, he shot an arrow which attached Abdullah bin Hassan to Abu Abdullah and Hussein alayhim as-salam. And the 16th wida Imam has is with his son Imam Sajjad alayhi salam, that when he hears the call of Abu Abdullah al-Hussein and he comes out of his tent, here Imam says to him, Ya waladi anta mareed, you are ill, laysa alayka al-jihad, no jihad upon you, anta al-hujjatu wal-imamu ala shi'ati, That is, you are the Hujjah, you are the Imam over our Shias. وَأَنْتَ أَبُو الْأَئِمَّةِ, father of all the Imams. وَكَافِلُ الْأَيْتَامِ, you are the one who will take these orphans and you are the ones who will look after this caravan. وَأَنْتَ الرَّادُّ لِحَرَمِي إِلَى الْمَدِينَةِ, and you are the one who will take back my haram and my family to Medina. Now there, Imam says that when Abu Abdullah Hussein had raised his call for Hal min Nasirin Yansuruni, there suddenly Imam Sajjad, he opens his eyes. Now after this farewell, and when he went back to his camp, he opens his eyes and says, Aina Ammi al-Abbas, says, Qad Qutil, he's been killed. Aina Qasim Qad Qutil, Aina Ali Akbar Qad Qutil. He just said, where? And everyone has been killed. Qala Ya Abatah, تقتل وأنا أنظر إليك. Here he says that you be killed and I look at you. I wish I had died prior to seeing this day. May I be sacrificed unto you. And that was the final wida Imam has with Sayyid al-Sajideen, Imam Zainul Abidin alayhi salam. Now the charge of this caravan all the way through from here until the end is with Zainab Kubra. And this strong lady, this great lady, whose name is Ummul Masa'ib. That is, she's seen the Masa'ib no more. No one can see, no one has the capacity to see, no one is able to see. When she was born, the baby is given to the mother to name. She says, I can't. Gives it to her husband to name. He says, I can't. The Prophet has to name her. And the Prophet, when he comes and holds the baby, says, I can't. Allah has to name. And Jibreel descends, says, name this baby Zainab. And then Rasulullah, he cries a lot. And he unfolds the story of Karbala, what is going to unfold. And this girl, this infant, how she is going to support Abu Abdullah al-Hussein alayhi salam. Zainab Kubra, she is such great that her hijab, her protection, her haya, her chastity, that her neighbor Yahya Mazani, he says that 7 years she was my neighbor here. I never knew if anyone existed here in my neighborhood, never seen her. Greatness, her ilm, her alqab, her chastity, her taqwa is second to none. How she is giving and so much caring towards everyone. This Zainab Kubra, who has inherited this giving and generosity from her father, from the karam of the Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam. A time comes here in Kufa and in Sham, in the ruins of Sham, how they have been treated. Now this is that very Zainab that when we recite the Masa'ib, we think that we have to go very graphic, and only then can a person feel the pain that they went through. In reality, if we have that ma'rifah, that understanding, that why should this Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam go through this torture? Why should anyone point at them? And that is that lack of ma'rifah and understanding in us, that we don't know, we don't understand, and we haven't got the pain to know. Now, one of the ulama that you've heard is Marhum Ayatullah Sheikh Nukhudaki Isfahani. He used to recite majalis. He's reciting for, and then when he comes to this phrase that we have in Maqatil, Dakhalat Zainab bint Ali ala ibn Ziyad, Zainab, daughter of Ali, she entered into the majlis of Ibn Ziyad. He says, stop it, that's enough. That one sentence is more than enough for us to sit and cry. Zainab, daughter of Ali, why should she enter the majlis of Ibn Ziyad? Why should she be taken to that majlis of Ibn Ziyad? That is enough musibat for us to cry. That is that honor, that understanding, that insight people have towards the Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam. Now this Zainab Kubra, who has been given the charge of this caravan from this day until they come to Medina, here we see that she is, throughout her life, she has 7 trips. And every trip that she has, especially during the rule of her father, that was with honor. When she wanted to travel and embark on a ride, there she, on one side, she had Abul Fazl al-Abbas, Ali Akbar, and all the brothers from Bani Hashim. They used to help her mount the camels. And then now today, on this day of Ashura, when she is the one, She has to help everyone mount the camel. And then when it is her turn, looks at her right, is there anyone? Looks at her left, is there anyone to help me? In this case, Zainab Kubra has to mount the camels all by herself. Zainab Kubra, her worship is amazing, just like her father, just like her brother. Here Abu Abdullah says in that vida that I want you to remember me in your night prayers. Now Zainab Kubra, when she wants to offer her prayers on this day of Ashura, that is past Ashura, she hasn't got the strength to stand. Imam Sajjad says that she offered her mustahab prayers in the sitting posture because that Zainab is hunched and broken after Karbala. Even that little food that these Mala'in they used to give to all of these prisoners, including her share of bread and water, she used to distribute that in the children. Now this Zainab Kubra, when they are moving towards Sham, amidst their journey, now these people who are escorting them, they used to lash them, they used to beat them, they used to treat them very bad, and suddenly the caravan stops. And they say that why has it stopped? Now the reason for why that caravan stopped was one of the children was crying a lot, and that is this toddler of Abu Abdullah Ruqayya bintul Hussein. He came and he beat him, and he lashed him so much he threw him down the camel, and the caravan stopped. It wouldn't move. They came to Imam Sajjad and say, why don't you move? Why doesn't it move? It won't move because one of the children is missing. And then when they go and find out that's Ruqayya, the dearest of Abu Abdullah, who has fallen from that caravan. They come to the ruins of Sham, where they have been placed for so many days there by the palace of Yazid. There too, it's the same scenario, that she is the one who is taking the custody and the charge of the entire caravan. And it was the wife of Yazid, Hind. She says to Yazid that everyone has come and seen the captives who you have in the ruins, in the prisons. I haven't seen them. Yazid says, go and visit them, see them, but see that the formalities, you being the queen of the state, your formalities and your honor, your sanctity is observed all the way through. She accepts and she comes to the ruins and says that that throne was placed in the prisons, and she comes and says, who are you to Lady Zainab? Says, I am Zainab. Where are you from? Says, from the Bani Hashim, the society in Bani Hashim in Medina. Says, Bani Hashim in Medina? Says, yes. Says, do you know the house of Zainab, daughter of Ali? Says, yes. Says, you haven't recognized Zainab, Hind? Now, Hind was someone who was raised and educated by Hazrat Zainab when she was in Medina. She couldn't recognize that how they have treated, her husband has treated Zainab Kubra. Comes and there is a revolution within that palace, that how come I wasn't aware? You've got the head of the son of Amirul Mu'mineen and the grandson of Rasulullah, Zainab's brother, on my house, and I was unaware. Says, remove it just now. And after the revolution that took place in the palace of Yazid, his policies also, his tactics changed. Zainab Kubra is that great lady who, when an opportunity was given to them, Yazid comes up with a proposal, says, we'll give you this much of money and options are open to you. You can stay here if you want in Sham, in Damascus. If you want, you can go back to Medina. If you want to go and settle down in Karbala, whatever you want to do, the proposals, they are open before you. She says that we will go back to Medina. But prior to that, we haven't been given a chance, an opportunity to cry for Abu Abdullah and Hussein, to cry for our shuhada. Over here, Yazid, he panics that if Zainab is to make a decision and then cry for Abu Abdullah, it's going to be another revolution. He gives permission for her to cry. Now says, not like that. We are a procession of Azar. Everything has to turn black. Now when we see that in all these mornings, everything is black, that is something that Zainab Kubra, she is the pioneer, and the credit goes to her. Now when they wanted to decided to go to Medina, Nu'man bin Bashir, he is the leader of the caravan, and says such a lavish caravan was provided by Yazid for them to return to Medina, Zainab, when she comes and sees, says, what is this? Says, this is the ride that has been availed for you to return to Medina. Says, in this caravan, we are not going to go. We are in azar, we are in mourning, and we cannot go in such lavish rides. Everything has to change to black, everything has to be in black. And it was upon the instructions of Zainab Kubra, everything changed, and it was changed to black because of the azar of Abu Abdullah al-Hussein alayhi salam. Zainab Kubra is the best of the supporters of the Imams. As long as Abu Abdullah al-Hussein was there, the support that she rendered to Abu Abdullah al-Hussein. After Abu Abdullah al-Hussein, it is she who saves Imamat by helping Imam al-Sajjad out of the blazing tents, and she protects him and comes to Imam and says that what are the duty, what are the instructions, what do you say? She says that alaykunna farad, that you have to flee from these tents. And upon the instructions of Imam al-Sajjad, they all left and abandoned those tents to save themselves. Zainab Kubra, the services that she provided throughout her life, especially after Abu Abdullah al-Hussein and the pains she went through. Now, it was said that her name is Ummul Masa'ib. Ummul Masa'ib, someone who saw the most pains. She saw the tragedy of the demise of Rasulullah. She was an eyewitness to the demise of her mother. Now, she is someone who takes care of her mother at the age of 5, when she has been hit, at the age of 6, when she has been severely wounded, just like Hazrat Fatima Salamullahi alayha. Zainab Kubra also does the same task of caring for her mother, Hazrat Fatima. Now, in the last moments of her life, Hazrat Zahra, she says that Zainab, this kafur that was sent from Allah wa ta'ala, and that is to be applied after my ghusl, my ghusl has been given, and then part of it was applied for the Prophet, part of it is for my husband Ali, and 1/3 of it is mine. Says, my share of hunut is placed in that place, bring it and leave it behind under my pillow. She is the one who sees all this torture that unfolded in Medina after Rasulullah, how her mother was crushed between the door and the wall, how her brother was killed in Medina. Zainab Kubra is the first eyewitness to see how her brother Imam Mujtaba alayhi salam is giving away his life. Imam Mujtaba was poisoned by his own wife. Now, someone who is in need of help calls his wife first. But here, Imam cannot do that because the wife, she is a killer herself. Now, Imam, the first one who he calls after being poisoned is Zainab Kubra. Zainab comes to the scene to help Imam alayhi salam and sees that how he is throwing up blood, calls Abu Abdullah al-Hussein alayhi salam, and there the funeral services of Imam Mujtaba were done. And again, we see the same in Kufa, and the worst of all these afflictions that were seen and witnessed by Zainab Kubra are in Karbala. The selflessness that we see with Zainab Kubra is such amazing, that she is totally at the disposal and in service of Imamat, of her brother, that when she wants to get married, she puts a condition in the wedlock and says that I will not marry, but with this condition and clause that I be allowed to see my brother a few times every day, and I be allowed to travel with him when he travels wheresoever. And with that condition, Abdullah bin Ja'far married Zainab Kubra. Now, this Zainab Kubra, when she is offering her children to be sacrificed for Abu Abdullah al-Hussein, is such beautiful that she doesn't even look at the children, so that if she looks at them, it may be that brother Hussein, he will feel sad that her children also are being sacrificed, has no regard whatsoever on her own children. And when the children also got sacrificed and the heads were distributed later, they find that 2 heads are there, which belong to someone unknown. They don't know who they belong to. and one was the head of Aoun, the other was the head of Muhammad. They come and ask us, whose heads are these? Says, these are the sons of Zainab. They come and see Zainab, she has someone else to mourn for, and that is Aba Abdullah al-Hussein alayhi salam. Zainab Kubra, she is great. That is, she has sacrificed whatsoever she had, and that is in the way of her brother, in particular, Aba Abdullah al-Hussein alayhi salam. She witnessed all the pains and afflictions, all the masahib on prior to Ashura, after Ashura, and then she is the one who saves Aba Abdullah for a few moments. If you look back into the maqtal that was recited, when Abu Abdullah and Hussein falls from his horse and there is no one to help, she is the one who rushes to the camp, to the battlefield, and comes by Abu Abdullah and Hussein. Now she makes him sit and then speaks to him until Abu Abdullah opens the corner of his eyes and says, Zainab. And it was that pleading of Zainab and that rushing of Zainab coming towards Abu Abdullah. Maqatil, they say that how she was running, that she was standing and she was falling and she ran and she fell down, throwing that sand onto her head. She comes to Abu Abdullah and Hussein alayhi salam, Zainab al-Kubra, and in the last moments of her own life, that after giving such sacrifices for her brother, for Deen, and in the presence of Sham as well, we see that Zainab Kubra, with that close bond that she has with Abu Abdullah al-Hussein, says that, and I'm jawaban ya Hussein amatara. Says, Hussein, why do you not reply? This is your very Zainab who used to, whenever she called you, you replied to her. Now that she is calling you, Hussein, why do you not reply? Now here, ulama, they do mention that when the head of Abu Abdullah and Hussein was brought into the ruins of Sham, that noble head of Abu Abdullah, the eyes were open. And when we look into the birth of Hazrat Zainab salamullahi alayha, when she is born, the baby is given to the father, to the mother, to the Prophet, to her brother Imam Mujtaba. Her eyes are closed. She opens her eyes in the laps of Hussein ibn Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam. And here in the ruins of Sham, when you see that the head of Abu Abdullah, the eyes were open and looks at every member of the caravan. But when it comes to Zainab Kubra, Abu Abdullah, he closes his eyes on the javelin, on the head, closes its eyes. Here, ulama, they say that is maybe he is embarrassed and how he wants to thank Zainab Kubra for all these services that she had provided for this caravan of Noor, this caravan of light, that is by Abu Abdullah al-Hussein alayhi salam. And even in the wasaya, that how she fulfills every wasiyat, every bit of it. One of them was when her mother giving the shirt to Zainab, saying that keep this shirt with you. The day when Hussein asks for this shirt, know that that is going to be the last day of his life and a separation between you and him. My wasiyat, Zainab, is that I want you to kiss the neck of Hussein on my behalf, which she did. And she says that, mother, I abided by that. And after the shahadat of Abu Abdullah and the head was taken away, she comes and kisses the neck and says, mother, your wasiyat I abided. I gave the shirt to him. I kissed his neck for you. And now I also kissed the veins of this son of yours, the dearest of yours, and that is in Karbala. When we look into the ziyarat, for example, one of the ziyarat, it is the ziyarat nahiyat al-muqaddasa. There is a term, there is a phrase in this ziyarat which says, فَلَأَنْدُبَنَّكَ صَبَاحًا وَمَسَاءً وَلَأَبْكِيَنَّ عَلَيْكَ بَدَلَ الدُّمُوعِ دَمًا. Says, I weep upon you night and day, twice every day. Wala abkiyanna. And Imam al-Asr, he says that I cry and I shed tears of blood, not just tears. And then here says that Marhum Sultan, Marhum Haj Mullah Ali, Mullah Sultan Ali, he says that one of the very noble people, he says once in one of the visions I had with Imam al-Asr alayhi salam, I said to him, Ya Sahib al-Zaman, This sentence that you have in Ziyarat Nahiyat al-Muqaddasa, is this crying of yours, is it for Abu Abdullah al-Hussein? He says, no. Says, is this crying of yours twice a day and shedding tears of blood, is it for Ali Akbar? Imam says, no. Says, is it for Hazrat Abbas? Says, no. For Sayyid al-Shuhada? Says, no. Says that, why do you cry twice a day and shed tears of blood? And who was it for? He says, that is for my aunt Zainab. That is, I cry for her twice a day and I shed tears of blood for my aunt Zainab every day. Now this Zainab Kubra, with all these magnificent services that she has provided to Abu Abdullah al-Hussein in safeguarding this deen and in the last days of her own life. Now this is the Sham-e-Ghariban, or the night of Abu Abdullah al-Hussein alayhi salam. And Abu Abdullah al-Hussein without Zainab Kubra also is incomplete. When it is the last days of Zainab's life, Abdullah bin Jafar, she didn't live long, 1.5 years after Karbala. And she says that Abdullah bin Jafar, I cannot die under this roof, in this shade, in this cool. Take me out in the sun. Abdullah bin Jafar says, why is it that Zainab, why shall I take you in the sun? Says, my brother Hussein died in the heat, in the sizzling desert of Karbala, in that intense hot temperature. And you want Zainab to die under this shade? That will not happen. Says that they take her out under the sun. And Abdullah bin Jafar says, I saw she has something in her hand. She hugs it, she kisses it, and she repeats it over and over again. And then she places it on her chest. And that is how she departed from this dunya. And that was that blood-stained shirt of Abu Abdullah al-Hussein alayhi salam, in whose love she lived and in whose love also she departed from this dunya. Ala la'natullah ala al-qawm al-zalimin wa saya'lamu alladhina zalamu ayya munqalabin yanqalibun. Ilahi bihaqq az-Zahra wa abiha wa ba'liha wa baniha wa sirr al-mustawda'i fiha. Ya Allah, 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 Ya Allah. Ilahi, between us, Quran and Ahlul Bayt, never ever come across a moment of separation. This mahabbat that we have towards the Ahlul Bayt, alayhim salam, Ilahi, increase every day in our children to be enlisted among the best of those who are with the Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam. Allahumma ajil fi faraji Maulana Sahib al-Zaman Matam Hussein.
Ya Hussein,
Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein.
छाने लगी शाम-ए-ग़रीबा, क़यामत समा लगी शिबा, क़यामत का है समा. छाने लगी शाम-ए-ग़रीबा, क़यामत का है समा. ख़ैमा-ए सादा से उठा धुआं, क़यामत का है समा. छाने लगी शाम-ए-ग़रीबा, क़यामत का है समा. मादर अकबर का जब हाल है, دیتا ہے جب کوئی تسلی اسے، کہتی ہے دل تھام کے روتے ہوئے، میرا قیامت کا ہے سما، آنے لگی شام غریباں، قیامت کا ہے سما، آن و محمد نہیں، اکبر نہیں، قاسم و عباس دلاور نہیں، ہائے کوئی مونس و یاور نہیں، خیمہ نہیں مکنا چادر نہیں، دشت میں ہے آل نبی بے امان، قیامت کا ہے سما، چھانے لگی شام غریباں، قیامت کا ہے سما، ماں ہوں ہر ایک رنج اٹھاؤں گی میں، روتے ہوئے خود چلی ڈھونڈ شیر کو لاؤں گی میں، اس کے بنا جی نہیں پاؤں گی میں، رہ گیا ہے میرا بچہ کہاں، ہائے قیامت کا ہے سما، چھانے لگی شام غریباں، ہائے قیامت کا ہے سما، ہے یہ گوہر عظمت بلتے علی، سب کو سنبھالا بھی حفاظت بھی کی، غم میں شہیدی کے بھی روتی رہی، مامتا پہ آنچانے لگی، ماں تو ہے بان و محمد کی ماں تو ہے بس آن و محمد کی ماں، ہائے قیامت کا ہے سما، غریباں مت کا ہے سنا، یا حسین
یا حسین یا حسین یا حسین یا حسین یا حسین یا حسین یا حسین یا حسین یوں عالم غربت میں یا رب نہ رہے کوئی، یوں عالم غربت میں یا رب نہ رہے کوئی، دریا کے قریب آ کر پیاسا نہ رہے کوئی، دریا کے قریب آ کر پیاسا نہ رہے کوئی، اکبر کی جوانی پر خود روئی جوانی بھی، اکبر کی جوانی پر خود روئی جوانی بھی، ارمان کسی ماں کے دل میں نہ رہے کوئی، ارمان کسی ماں کے دل میں نہ رہے کوئی، یوں عالم غربت میں کٹتی ہوئی شارگ سے آتی تھی صدا پی ہم، کٹتی ہوئی شارگ سے آتی تھی صدا پہ ہم، یوں پیاس کی گردن پر خنجر نہ چلے کوئی، یوں پیاس کی گردن پر خنجر نہ چلے کوئی، یوں عالم غربت میں یہ کہہ کے گری زینب شبیر کے لاشے پر، یہ کہہ کے گری زینب شبیر کے لاشے پر، بے گور کفن لاشا، بے گور کفن لاشا، یا رب نہ رہے کوئی، بے گور کفن لاشا، یا رب نہ رہے کوئی، یوں عالم غربت میں یا رب نہ لٹے کوئی، یوں عالم غربت میں بازار میں کوفے کے زینب نے دعا مانگی، بازار میں کوفے کے زینب نے دعا مانگی، یوں پردہ نشیں یا رب در در نہ پھرے کوئی، یوں پردہ نشیں یا رب در در نہ پھرے کوئی، یوں عالم غربت میں یا رب نہ لٹے کوئی، دریا کے قریب آ کر پیاسا نہ رہے کوئی، یوں عالم غربت میں یا حسین یا حسین حسین یا حسین یا حسین.
متوجہ زیارت.
السلام علیکم یا وارث آدم صفوت اللہ، السلام علیکم یا وارث نوح نبی اللہ، السلام علیکم یا وارث ابراہیم خلیل اللہ، السلام علیکم یا وارث موسیٰ کلیم اللہ، السلام عليك يا وارث عيسى روح الله. السلام عليك يا وارث محمد حبيب الله. السلام عليك يا ابن محمد المصطفى. السلام عليك يا ابن علي المرتضى. السلام عليك يا ابن فاطمة الزهراء. السلام عليك يا ابن خديجة الكبرى. السلام عليك يا ثار الله وابن ثاره والوتر الموتور. أشهد أنك قد أقمت الصلاة وآتيت الزكاة وأمرت بالمعروف ونهيت عن المنكر وأطعت الله ورسوله حتى أتاك اليقين. فلعن الله أمة قتلتك ولعن الله أمة ظلمتك ولعن الله أمة سمعت بذلك فرضيت به. يا مولاي يا أبا عبد الله، أشهد أنك كنت نورا في الأصلاب الشامخة والأرحام المطهرة، لم تنجسك الجاهلية بأنجاسها ولم تلبسك من مدنهمات ثيابها. وأشهد الله وملائكته وأنبياءه ورسله أني بكم مؤمن وبإيابكم موقن، بشرايا ديني وخواتيم عملي، وقلبي لقلبكم سلم وأمري لأمركم متبع. صلوات الله عليكم وعلى أرواحكم وعلى أجسادكم وعلى أجسامكم وعلى شاهدكم وعلى غائبكم وعلى ظاهركم وعلى باطنكم. السلام عليكم يا أهل بيت النبوة ورحمة الله وبركاته. لأرواح المؤمنين والمؤمنات الفاتحة مع الصلوات. ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم. Thank you all and التماس دعاء.